Okay, so we're looking at the next part of numbers, which are the irrational numbers, which we touched upon briefly in the last video. And these are numbers that cannot be expressed as ratios, okay? These numbers are called irrational, or they're also called surds, depending on which textbook you're looking at. So put the heading irrational numbers and put those two sentences, and then come across when you're ready. Okay, so when you have an irrational number, what we have is a square root sign, okay? But some square root signs are okay. Like the square root of 4, if you put it on your calculator, you get 2. If you try square root of 25 or square root of 169, you get 5 or you get 13 on your calculator. So sometimes what looks like it doesn't, it's going to be irrational, which is going to have a square root sign, does actually equal a rational number. Copy those and come across. But what happens when you've got square root of 5 or the square root of 11? If you put those on your calculator, you don't get nice numbers. You get decimals that don't have any repeating numbers. Okay, so on the calculator, square root of 5, just get your square root button, press 5, and you get 2.236067978, and the numbers just keep going to infinity. Same with the square root of 11. So you don't get a terminating decimal, you don't get to stop, and you don't get any recurring. Okay. So there are other special numbers. So going back to that previous slide. Okay. So when you have a square root sign, most of the numbers are going to be called irrational. Like obviously anything that's square roots, like 4, 9, 16, etc., even though they've got square root signs, they're okay. It's only the numbers that don't square root to a nice number. Okay. So there are some other special numbers which are called irrational, which we don't necessarily have to study today, but one of them is called pi, and pi is used in measurement with circles and trigonometry. And there's another one called e, which you don't use until you get into senior mathematics, and they're used for growth and decay. So there are irrational numbers like square root of 7, square root of 29. They're irrational, but these other numbers are called, they're special irrationals, and the main one is the one you'll be looking at is pi at some stage this year, and e you won't look at all until you're in senior college. Okay, so copy those and come across. Okay, so to summarize then, okay, irrational numbers are called surds, and they cannot be written as fractions. They expressed as square root numbers, or another one is the way to express them is to do them as decimals. Okay, so looking at square root of 5 again, we had 2.236067978, and it keeps going, but that's ridiculous to write down all those places. So if we're just looking at the first decimal place, there's a 2. The next number is a 3, which means we don't do any rounding up, so the answer is 2.2. If I was going to 2 decimal places, the 2 and the 3, look at the 6, and 6 is above 5, which means that the 2-3 becomes 2-4 to 2 decimal places. If I was going to 3 decimal places, 236, the next number is a 0, which is under halfway, so it stays as 2.236. Okay. So looking at square root signs as surds, and surds can be approximated as decimals. So in the next video on surds, we'll be looking at some special properties to make them look a bit simpler. Okay, that's it.